Most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they aim from the wrong operating system. We've all been there. You set a massive goal, you're excited for days, you map out a full plan, but then things stop going according to plan. You start doubting yourself. You slowly shrink the goal and finally give up. It's not that you lack discipline. It's that you're using a broken system. In this video, I'm going to share a 3-step framework that I use to set and achieve massive goals without knowing the full path. These aren't your typical productivity hacks. On the contrary, these are hidden nuggets from neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and something fascinating about how your brain filters reality. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how your inner operating system works and how to point it towards your biggest goals so that progress starts to feel almost inevitable. Let's begin. Before strategy comes clear intent. When we set really big goals, we have a tendency to stall and not take action because we don't know what to do, or we keep changing direction based on second thoughts, doubt, and fear. Clarity is step 1, and it's more powerful than we think. I call it the RAS calibration. Clear, consistent intent is what calibrates your reticular activation system. If you keep changing your goals, you confuse the signal. But if you live and breathe one direction, the path starts unfolding in your favor. And I'm going to tell you exactly how that happens. Massive goals require signal clarity and not path clarity. As I mentioned, your brain has a filtering system known as the reticular activation system. It decides what enters your awareness. Once you declare a clear intent, it starts scanning for whatever is relevant to that intent. That's why when you want to buy a specific type of car, you start seeing it everywhere. Or perhaps you decide to start a company, you start meeting potential co-founders out of the blue. The opportunities were always there, but now you're filtering them into your existence. Here is a deeper layer. If you don't think about a goal daily, it may not be a true goal. It may be an inherited goal. Inherited goals are what society, your peers, your parents call successful. These are the goals that we think we should have versus what we actually want to do. But when we plan our lives around these inherited goals, we can find ourselves feeling lost and unfulfilled even when things do work out in our favor. It's like that missing itch that keeps nagging you and asking you, why isn't this feeling enough? Or is this really it? Additionally, the journey to achieving these goals has huge inner friction, anxiety, overthinking, and stress. More on this later. Now, coming to lived goals. Lived goals are what you naturally live and breathe. It's what naturally tugs at your curiosity, even if it doesn't make logical sense. In my case, I had to rediscover this. I was so busy chasing inherited goals and doing decently well at them that I couldn't hear my inner voice anymore. And a powerful way to discover your inner voice and your lived goals is through free flow journaling. If you're interested in this, comment below journaling and I can share my journaling practice with you. It's been transformational. RAS calibration works brilliantly for lived goals, but it can also work for inherited goals. It's just that you will face a lot of friction along the journey. So here's how you can take action. Write down your massive goal and get as clear as possible as to what you want to achieve. Does it answer this question? If everything I feared was taken care of, money, fame, how I appear in society, what is it that I really want to do? And if you're unsure, that's perfectly normal. Start free flow journaling every single morning. Your real goals reveal themselves in patterns. And this is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. If you're interested in the science behind goal achievement and using practical, powerful tools like journaling to discover your inner calling, subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. It's linked in the description below. So massive goals feel overwhelming when we try to control the full path. The open principle says, you don't need the full map, you just need to know your next best step. With clear intent, we take action and have trust that the path will unfold itself. It's the intent, action, trust framework. So instead of getting overwhelmed by your full map of a plan and finding that things aren't going your way, the best thing to do is just to focus on your next best action. Even if it doesn't fully make sense, even if the plan looks messy, just do it. Then let reality respond. Let openings naturally unfold. And then we take the next best step again. It's okay to have a plan, but forcing a plan when reality is moving in a different direction is quite inefficient. That's when we feel huge resistance. And ironically, we miss the more efficient, creative openings that may show up, that take us towards our goals faster. Your intuition is your inner GPS. It already knows the way, but it reveals it moment by moment. So when we overthink outcomes, it drowns out this intuition. From Steve Jobs to Einstein to other scientists, artists, and successful entrepreneurs, many describe leaps of consciousness, sudden insights that are far more intelligent than what your mind can come up with in solving their problems and achieving their goals. Think about why your best, most creative ideas come to you when you're least expecting them, when you're totally relaxed and not looking for them. They come to you when you're in a state of non-thinking, when you're walking on the beach, when you're in the shower. For me personally, it's when I journal. When you relax the need for control and you enter a non-thinking state, greater intelligence or your intuition becomes accessible. And that is your secret power. So now that we know this, let's look at how we should look at success. If we look at controlling our outcomes, we know that we can't access our intelligence. So we need to reframe what success looks like moment by moment. In this 3-step framework, success is when you show up open and receptive in a non-thinking state whenever you take action towards your goal. It's taking the next best action in a non-thinking state and trusting that everything is connected in ways our logical minds can't fully compute. And when things don't go your way, don't force a fixed plan, but look for another opening. Just like how water seeps around big rocks or through crevices, we behave like water and we find openings in unexpected areas. Trusting this greater connected intelligent system, that is the universe, is a far more intelligent way to achieve our goals than relying on our limited minds alone, which recycled old experiences over and over again. Wouldn't you agree? Now we come to creating an infallible system, the core of it all. Here's what most people miss. Even if you have a clear intent and you take aligned action repeatedly, you still inner inner friction. This comes in the form of overthinking, anxiety, doubt, fear. This is normal. You're not broken. You don't even have to accept it as a byproduct of achieving your goals. It's that our inner operating system is not tuned to our new goals. It's actually tuned to an old goal that we adopted in childhood. Your mind OS, or your mind operating system, is the greatest tool we have in goal achievement. It feeds your thinking, your emotions, and eventually your actions. But most of us use this tool completely wrong, and we're even unaware that it is a tool. Instead of consciously directing the mind OS to our goals, we unconsciously give it the power to choose goals for us and then end up fighting it. When you understand this, you understand why you feel this friction, the overthinking, the anxiety, the stress. These exist because your system is pointing towards a different goal than the one you want to achieve today. And it's so incredibly effective at achieving it, it won't let you steer. That's why brute force feels exhausting. You're fighting a highly effective system. Now imagine if we just upgraded the goal that the system was pointing to, rather than fighting the system. If the mind OS aligned with your new, consciously chosen massive goal, wouldn't your goals feel infallible, inevitable? So you may be wondering at this point, why does the mind OS go after goals that I didn't actually choose? Here's what we have to keep in mind, pun intended. These goals get set because of repeated actions we've taken throughout our childhood growing up. These don't come from consciously choosing a goal, but rather come from how we behave. For instance, maybe you tried out for a dance team growing up and people laughed at you. So a code was written in your mind OS saying, avoid failure, avoid public embarrassment. And every time you had such an opportunity, you didn't end up taking it to preserve that goal. And so over time, your repeated actions, or in this case, inaction, resulted in solidifying that goal. Now you're an adult choosing conscious goals, and every time you take action, your mind OS hijacks you and pulls you in the other direction. Avoid risk, stay safe. And it clouds you with overthinking, doubt, fear, anxiety. These are actually symptoms from this tool created to keep you achieving your old goal. And it works. It's like driving with the emergency brake off. You want to go, but you can't. And while it's painful, we have to appreciate how effective the system really is. And imagine if we can actually tune it now to our conscious goals. That's where the no choice plan comes in. So how do you upgrade the mind OS to point to your new goals? You remove negotiation. That's why it's called the no choice plan. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works so beautifully. I have tried it in multiple aspects of my life. Here's how it works. First, you choose a goal consciously, a lived goal, not an inherited one, hopefully. You break it into repeatable actions. You then schedule them, and you remove friction or any sort of excuse your mind can give at the time of action, so that when it's time to act, there is no inner negotiation. You just show up. And finally, we journal our post-action feeling to replace anxiety with self-trust. The irony is that the no-choice plan gives you the freedom to live to your highest potential. Over time, your system stabilizes around this new direction. It slowly lets go of the old goal and it starts stabilizing around this new goal. This is how we rewire the mind OS to point to our new goals. In biology, this is known as neuroplasticity. Over time, our repeated actions towards our goals and the post-action feelings of self-trust and alignment replace the anxiety, the overthinking, and the doubt that once used to be in their place. The gap between intent and action has no more inner friction. And now achieving your goals feels almost inevitable. If you want a step-by-step guide to applying the no-choice plan to one of your big goals, you can find this guide linked in the description below. It's completely free and it's the most practical and powerful way to rewire your mind OS to achieve what you truly want. Massive goals don't require massive force. That's a myth. They require an intelligent system. So step 1, we have a clear intent and calibrate our RAS to spot what we need to achieve our goals. Second, we take action in a non-thinking state and we take the next best action versus trying to impose a fixed plan on everything. And number 3, we upgrade the mind OS, our most effective tool to point to our new goals. You can force a rigid plan, burn out and fail, or you can align your inner operating system towards your goals and build momentum naturally in a joyful way. If you're still here, thank you for watching. Subscribe for weekly videos on how to achieve more without the hustle. And if you want to go deeper, join my weekly newsletter, The Inner Lab, where I break down how the mind OS really works and how we can pursue our most ambitious goals with peace, clarity, and joy. See you next time.